Well, we have a Taurus moon that's coming up on the 27th, 28th. It's kind of time zone dependent this April of 2025. It is in a T square to both Mars and Pluto. But also importantly, in this moon update, I'm also going to draw your attention to events that occurred in 2021. And that's because in 2021, in the month of January, we saw something happen at roughly the exact same degree as this Taurus new moon. And it was radical and intense energy. It was Mars and Uranus co-joining in this part of the Taurus sky. I call this hot seat sky. It's where something happened in the recent past and nothing's really reactivated that spot since that time. And this is going to bring up in our lives, each of us, something that takes us back to a theme that events of 2021, January, add a couple of years, but with kind of the big details known to you pretty shortly after that. And you're going to see that this kind of Taurus moon on the very same sky, roughly at the very same degree, will bring those themes back to your life and to the world as well. So we're going to cover this angle on the update on the Taurus moon video. Now, I already have another video out on this Taurus new moon. And in that video, I talk more about the Mars and Pluto angles, the T square. And I also talk about the potential of a world renowned figure dying, and we would see a funeral for that person by the end of April. In the video, I suggested at 6 minutes, it may be the Pope. The video came out more than a week before the Pope's death announced on Easter Sunday. I mean, it came out maybe 5 days before that, but it was recorded almost a week before. And the reason I want to bring that up is because this is where I love astrology. The devil is in the details. It was the asteroid Requiem in a perfect sextile to the Taurus new moon that drew my attention to that narrative. I'm not going to cover this story again. Yes, Requiem is in place. Requiem is sextiling the Taurus lunation at the time of the moon. And this could also still open up a door over the course of at least 2 to 3 weeks after the moon is new for the death of another renowned and world figure. And again, a funeral for that person. Some of you said it looks like DT in America is off the hook. Nothing bad has happened yet. But I've always said it was kind of a mid-April to mid-May caution, red flags, be careful for unaliving against the president of the country of, USA. So that's still in play. But again, the Pope is a perfect example. I did say the Pope was an obvious match for this guy. And so there we go. Bless the Pope's soul. He has left the planet. I'm not religious, so I'm just saying, I'm sure nobody thinks bad of him. I think he had a good reputation in the Catholic tradition. So the next thing I want to talk about before we get this moon showing you and wow, I want to say, think about something back in 2021, that felt radically unexpected, deeply surprising, and catapulted you to make major action and decisions of change. For example, because what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you a picture, is about Uranus, the unexpected, and Mars, what must change dramatically, sudden endings, cuttings. There is this piece of sky that happened in 2021 that's back on our table. Let me show you a screenshot of something, if you don't mind, because I think this will help you get a grasp of how incredibly important it is to look for such matters as hotspots in the sky, where we can anticipate a repeating theme, because a new moon is like a portal and it drills into these degrees where the lunation is happening and it opens something up for us. Now, let's get this picture up for you guys, okay? Here we go. This is astro-seek.com. It's a very handy search engine tool. Shoot, I wanted to make it bigger than that. I wonder why it's so small. Let me see if I can fix it for us. Give me a sec, because maybe you want to screenshot this. I think I might have made it just a little bit bigger. Oh, a lot bigger. Goodness gracious. Okay. So what you're looking at here, if you'd like to get a screenshot, it might help you. We have the historical record and we have the sky as well for recent times. In 1936, 38, and 1940, Mars traveling through Taurus bumped into Uranus traveling through Taurus. Uranus takes 80 odd years to move through a sign, the zodiac, all through all signs of the zodiac. So yes, it takes us back to the Dust Bowl era, the Great Depression era, the build up to World War II. it has been noted by many astrologers that Uranus and Taurus brings a rise in right-wing nationalistic sentiment, fascism, and dictators, the rise of Mussolini, the rise of Hitler, the rise of Stalin, all happened while Uranus was in the fixed sign of Taurus, who rules the idea of land, earth, and also wealth. And so this energy here is back again in our collective. So basically, Uranus has been moving through the sign of Taurus since 2018 May. He dipped in and then he left and he came back. And by 2019, full on, he leaves in 2027 and no longer travels the Western tropical sign of Taurus. And if you're new here, by the way, this is Western tropical zodiac astrology, not sidereal or Vedic. Now, if you notice that 2021, 22, and 24, that Mars-Uranus conjunction occurred again and again. So if you look at January 20th of 2021, you'll see that Mars at almost 7 degrees of the sign of Taurus, the area of the sky where we're having this new moon occur, is activated. And that story is back again because we have a 3-degree orb. We're really tightly bound to this Taurus new moon. And so it literally is going to bring you back in time and me and the world to things that were relevant to January 20th of 2021. Add 2 years-ish. Wait until August 1st of 2022. No, it's not 2 years, it's a year and a half. Because on August 1st of 2022, Mars at 18, almost 19 degrees of Taurus co-joined Uranus. And therefore, that time frame between January of 21 and August of 22 is emblematic of a theme that emerged to do a change. Mars, Uranus, surprise, erratic, unexpected, sudden. Mars, cut and sever. Mars rules all kinds of things. He rules decisions, actions, willpower. Okay, he rules motion and movement. Okay, energies of Mars, separation. So I'll give me as an example. And I find these Mars-Uranus conjunctions, because we had one July 15th, 2 days before that, the bullet whizzed by Donald Trump's ear. I predicted in a video about 3 weeks before the assassination attempt that Donald Trump would face harm's way because of the July 15th Mars conjunction to Uranus, because it was on his midheaven on the decapitation star Algol, squaring his ascendant. And it looked to me like he may be in unaliving territory. And I said close to the 15th of July. Now, that prediction wasn't a hard one to make. Okay, this is how astrology works. And if you look in his ear, a bullet whizzed by his head, could have taken his head off. If you look at July 15th and you think back to your life about what was going on in July, you might have noticed a few things would have occurred that are predictable and repeatable, but yet unexpected. Hindsight will be a 2020 feature of reality these days. So I'm going to talk about me right now so you can get an understanding, because when I'm talking about this new moon with the surprise and shock of Algol, the surprise and shock of coming back to the part of the sky where it was January 20th, it will be more like the January 20th vibration of 2021 and up to about 6 months later, because I find that Mars-Uranus conjunctions tell us what they're for within 4 to 6 months after we'll know what it's about. It doesn't have to be the day of the conjunction, although Donald Trump's unaliving situation in July was pretty close to the day of the conjunction. So if I use me as an example for a minute, when I go back to January 20th, 2021, I was living at the time in Montreal, Canada. I'd only just moved there a couple years before, and I was filing my taxes early in February to get ahead of the game, and found out from my tax accountant shortly thereafter, like in March, that my taxes were shockingly high, because I did not yet understand that the tax rates in Nova Scotia, Canada, and Quebec are the highest in the country. That shocked me so much that I decided to move back to Vancouver, Canada, back to British Columbia and the West Coast, where tax rates were like less than half of what I had to pay in Quebec. So one of the things I want to say about that is that therefore I might anticipate there's something about me wanting to move for better tax circumstances. Like if the Liberal government wins, I'm probably going to move to some other place where I can get a good tax haven. So it looks to me that maybe I will look for a move, but I may not expect where I'm going to go. You know why? Because Uranus is always going to add the surprise, the shock, the unexpected thing you didn't quite anticipate. Mars rules moving, right? You're going to change your home. You're going to move your home, pack your home. That's a Mars story. You're separating from one old home. Mars rules separation. Venus rules uniting. And Mars is also the actions, decisions, and the willpower energy. So I took decisions and actions to move myself. And by July of 2021, I was back in this country, the part of my country across the country where I'd lived before, Vancouver, British Columbia, where my tax rates were sustainably low enough for me to survive. Oh, that's kind of a question mark anyway, because the cost of living was double of Quebec, but what the hell? I felt affronted by the taxes. So then I look at the sky and I say, ask yourself, what kind of change happened in the Taurus part of your sky? And I'm going to cover that in the video for your sign. Just so you know, if you want to also look at the Taurus part of your sky, one of whole sign 12 houses in your chart, maybe if you look at August 1st of 22, and go around that time, a couple of days before and up to 6 months after, you were jolted again. I was jolted to move again. I was renting a girlfriend's pied-à-terre in Vancouver, and she needed it back. And she let me know she needed to have that place back when? Not August 1st of 22, September of 2022, approximately 5 weeks after the actual conjunction. Don't expect to know the whole lay of the land after these conjunctions, nor after this new moon that sits right back at the 7-degree Taurus hotspot in the sky. And finally, July 15th, we all saw the Trump story happen, with the unaliving attempt. But, this Uranus is still, by the way, sitting on his midheaven because of retrogradation. It's right there. And this story hasn't come to a close yet. So what was Mars, the god of things that you would pew pew, like right in your hand? I can't say the word here. I'll get, pew pew. Is that like cowboy westerns or whatever? Mars rules that. Mars also rules red rum, Murder. And the other one, the unaliving, starts with an A. These words are bad for the algorithm. Mars rules those things. Mars, shock, Uranus, Algol, the public reputation, and the high noon of Trump squaring his ascendant, his body. That energy is still in play. Just so you know, it hasn't really come through the full, 4 to 6 months afterwards, July 15th, right? August, September, October, November, December. Wait, maybe we have. Yeah, we got past it. Okay, we're good. Oh my God, I can't do math. So he's past that 6-month mark. I guess I'd say the emblematic energy of this for him would be he's going to have to duck danger, right? Be careful. And he did duck danger. Where in your life, though, has this July 15th of 24, add 6 months played out for you? What has it jolted for you? For me, it's my landlord saying she wants to sell her property and I'm going to have to move again. You can't make this stuff up. And this time it took longer for the revelation. It happened that I knew what this was going to be about closer to 7.5 months, maybe 8 months after the conjunction. And in general, every time Mars does something in a synodic cycle, it's usually 2 years later that everything is finished. It's like Mars talking to a planet, and 2 years later, he talks to that planet again. So yeah, there you go. So that's enough of that. That's just give you examples of how both of these, this has moved me. January 20th, 21, moved my home. 4th house Taurus. Because I'm an Aquarius rising. Another jolt, I had to move again after the August 1st of 22. Another jolt from the July 15th, I had to move. But technically, the bigger signature for my move was an eclipse on my moon at the end of March. Okay, moon can represent your home. We're going to go ahead. We're going to do your sign. I want you to listen for your sun sign. If you're thinking about career and purpose, it represents your soul, your eternal nature. If this is a simulation, the sun is the actual game player. Your ascendant, your rising sign, and its degree. Check my free video tutorial on how to cast your chart and whole sign houses in my description box. It will also teach you how to find your rising sign. You will need a birth time. Your rising sign is the avatar in the simulation or the video game. Okay. Or it's like the role that the actress will play. Sun is the actress. The character in the movie is the ascendant. It's how you look. It's how you look to others. It's how you play the character of your soul. Like I'm a fire sun playing an Aquarius Spock-like character. What a combination. So look at your life through the lens of those two, because if you're listening for your ascendant, then you're listening to the most circumstantially accurate changes you're likely to encounter in your life. But the sun also works. Your moon is your feelings about your life, your mind, it's how you think and feel about it, the whole thing called life. But also, your moon can represent matters to do with your home and your domestic life. And technically, like say an eclipse to your moon can physically relocate you. And always, moon is mother and sun is father in your chart. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is go through your all signs portion on this video update. This is probably dropping on Sunday. We have an election in Canada on Monday. I will probably have dropped the video for the election the day before, Saturday. If you want to go watch it, please do. I'm going to give you my final answer on the Canadian election of 2025. I have a definite preference, but I'm going to read the astrology, not give you my opinion. So if you want to go back and watch it, I'm recording this on Thursday, the 24th, for my Patreon community, where they get everything early access ad free. And the last thing I want you to know is my 2025 all signs bundles are half price off. That's 12 videos, 2 hours each, plus a separate PDF guidebook for each sign. And if you want to get that for friends, family, and yourself, and you can listen for sun, moon, and rising, it's half price below. Go grab it. Also, the other story I want you to know about is Guy Reader, Be Your Own Astrologer, Time Your Best Live. 6-week live course with me is starting in mid-June through to the end of July. This is a fun course. I love teaching it. It'll be my 6th time around the block with this class and this course. And if you've always wanted to learn your own chart a lot better and learn how to read your astrology to time your best life, I'll teach you some simple tools. Come jump in with me. All right. So now let's get rolling and talk about all signs. And before I do, which I'll start with Aries, my thought would be, can you guys remember what the politics were like, or the world environment, or what was going on in 2021 January? What were the big news stories? What were the big events January of 21 and in the few months that tumbled out of it? Technically, I don't know if I have the patience to go look at it, but with Joe Biden having a moon in Taurus in the early degrees, it was impacting him. I did declare things like the idea that between that Mars-Uranus conjunction within 7 degrees of Joe Biden's moon, and then eclipses later on his moon, that it would impact his cognitive health, and that he may not be running for president. And a lot of those predictions did come true. But we were in the pandemic in 2021. I think that's when Omicron came out, and we were all like seeing the beginning of the end of the pandemic. But I honestly can't remember everything that happened back then. And I'm not too sure I'm interested in it right now. If I think about it being a Taurus energy, and I try to think about some of the Taurian influences in world astrology at the time. Israel has its sun in Taurus, for example. Its national chart has the sun in Taurus. And that was 2021, in which that Uranus conjunction happened. But we didn't see the war till 23, and it wasn't close to the sun. It was quite far away. So if you intrepids out there think that this moon could trigger something that we have seen 2021, then let me know. Trump's midheaven's there, but this conjunction in 21 was far from his midheaven. You see, so there's just that. I can't think of anything in particular. Maybe I should do some research, but I don't have time. I want you guys to get this video in a timely manner. If you're new here, do like and subscribe, and try hitting that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. I put out literally with my shorts 40 videos a month, but long form content, at least 24 videos, all signs content. So please join my channel, join the team. I'm putting a membership community up here on YouTube sometime in May, where you can get perks with me, like free members only live streams and stuff. So stay tuned for that. Now, if I touch my hair, I have late diagnosis autism spectrum disorder. I'm autistic. I'm high functioning, high masking. However, if I touch my hair, it's just because I'm stimming, it's called. It just means that I don't realize I'm even doing it. I'm regulating. All right. And if I talk fast, slow me down in the playback speed. That's not autism. I've always talked fast. I've got many planets in Aries, and, I talk fast. And anyone else want to say anything else I want to say? No, that's it. I just want you to know, because you'll criticize. I get last all signs videos came out for each sign. I put them out like I don't know. I'm recording on April the 20th for the month of May. And I got so many comments about people saying, stop touching your hair. And I'm like, give me a break. I try to keep my hands below here often because I'll be doing some kind of hand wringing or something. So I'm trying my best. All right. But also sometimes I touch my hair because I need a haircut and it's falling into my face. So I'm trying to tuck it back, you know? So I don't know why people are like that. Like, why? You can just listen to me. You don't have to look, you know? Now people will troll me for trolling the trolls. You know, you honestly just can't win. Let's go ahead. Let's do your sign. We'll start with Aries. I will mention one thing. The time the Mars Uranus conjunction happened in summer of 2022 was in the wake of the Ukraine Russia war beginning in, I believe, the spring of 2020, February, March of 2022. And Vladimir Putin is a Scorpio rising. We're not too sure exactly the time, but he's a Scorpio rising. The chart works with that. And Jupiter is in a seventh house of open enemies. And that conjunction happened within a couple of degrees of his Jupiter. So it does seem to correlate then this kind of energy to some extent with the actions of Vladimir Putin. And of course, the war in the Ukraine, it depends on the actions of Vladimir Putin. So we'll see what happens in the future, but maybe this moon can also trigger, because it's in the right sign, some shifts in that war as well. So we shall see. Otherwise, let's go ahead. Let's do your sign. We're going to move into the astrology for each of you and listen to the intro to find out how to, listen for sun, moon, or rising, right? So let's get us back. I'm in the wrong year. And by the way, I did check all the other lunations that happened, the new moons in Taurus. None of them were as close to the initiation degree of January 20th, 2021. None of them. Some of them were at 28 degrees, 18 degrees. One was at 10 and a half, almost 11 degrees of Taurus. So none of these other moons counted. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze, I think. Okay. Someone said, I just had COVID. It was my third time, right? Getting it. And I can always tell I have it. It feels different than a head cold. But someone said, oh, it's because you didn't get the unnecessary protocol, on the unsafe, unnecessary one. No, my friends who've had that protocol have had COVID more than me, not less. And I get it because I'm traveling, I'm on airplanes a lot. But so, no, because someone has had the VAX, they are so not having any different time. First time was 22, second time was 24, and the last time was just coming back from going to a trip to Arizona. So long story short, short story long, taking the protocol or not taking the protocol does not actually make a difference in terms of getting infected. That's just why it was ineffective as a protocol. Okay. So this is our sky, and I'm moving us to this year. Wouldn't that be an idea, guys? I'm in the wrong year. This is 2025. This is the month of June. So let's go back a month. And I was doing a little research back there and I didn't get everything set up perfectly. And that's my fault. And I should have done it. And you can hear the trolls already. Yes, I know. I'm not perfect. I can't believe I'm not perfect. What's wrong with me? Let's get this right. Okay. So the moon is going to happen, and we're going to get us all lined up for the moon coming through the sky at the end of April. And it's going to be, it depends on your time zone, the 27th or 28th, depends on where you live. That's just all I got to say about it. So here we have April 27th, 2025, and let's get the moon right hugging that sun. Let's get them all snuggled up together. Come on, moon, let's snuggle you up with the sun at 7 degrees and some change, all right, of the sign of Taurus. Now, don't forget when we had that conjunction of the 2021 January that I talked about already, we saw that conjunction was basically rounding up to 7 degrees. So if you don't believe me, I can go back and grab the screenshotable, but it was actually there. So we saw the conjunction January 20th, 2021 of Mars at 6 degrees and 44 minutes to Uranus. That means that we're back in the same kind of hot seat in our sky. This is like a pocket of sky that has an oil spill, or someone, you go to a restaurant and someone eats their food and it ends up on the chair, and then you go sit in it and you're like, someone like dropped their mayo on this chair, or their food, and you're right on it. That's exactly what this is like. The moon at 7 degrees and change is on it, right on it, where within a degree of that last time conjunction. So if I was to be very, very, very precise, because I bet some of you want me to be very, very, very precise to the exact degree of perfection, let's get it down because I don't want to be wrong. And I don't like being wrong because I have a lot of Aries. All right, roughly here. Okay. So it's like 44 degrees, 45 degrees. So that's literally within 1 minute. This is literally within 1 degree of the spot where someone dropped the mayonnaise or the ketchup or the food particles on the seat in a restaurant. And you sat down and didn't look and you sat on it again. So the moon and the sun are sitting on it. And this is exactly that spot that hasn't been reinitiated since the time of January 20th, 2021, when Mars and Uranus joined here in the sky. For your own edification, you might find that your life does a bit of a repeating theme, especially in the 6 months that follows this new moon, of what the 6 months after January of 21 looked like in the Taurus part of your sky. Sometimes I change it up and I start with another sign, but today I don't think so. I'm going to go with Aries. I don't know. It just makes for me mentally simpler. And in the live premiere where I'm chatting with you in the comments, it allows people who join the meeting not to leave thinking we're done when we're not. So they understand we're going through zodiacal order. Let's get going. Number one, this is a story. And by the way, in Vancouver, Canada, the moon is pretty precisely activating around 5:30 or so in the evening. And then if you're, in the East Coast, it's like 8:30. And if you're in England or London, it's going to be in the wee hours of the night on April 28th. Australia, I don't know. You guys can tell me. So Aries sun, moon, and rising in this new moon update. And please go back and watch the first video. Link will be in the description box. It goes into more of the intensity of the Mars-Pluto opposition as it comes into a T-square with this moon. I don't want to repeat that content here because I dive into it for you in great depth. So go watch the other video for that angle of the sky. What I want you to think about more importantly, what was happening for you January 20th in your money house? This is your finances. So this is your earnings. As my Aries sun and moon can tell you, I had a tax shock. Coming off of that conjunction in January of 2021. Within 2 months, I knew I had to change my province because it was extremely expensive to live there. And so, oh dear. So where was there a financial surprise in your life, Aries, sun, moon, and rising? Most particularly if it's your sun, it's going to be a surprise around money with career matters. Your moon, a surprise around money to do with home matters. Your Aries rising says a surprise to anything financial in your life. Now, honestly, it is because it has Uranus there back in the day, but don't forget Uranus is still here and he is on a well-star algol. There could be a very positive financial surprise for some of you. On the other hand, we still feel things that we don't expect. We could be blindsided or we could be delighted. We could be exhilarated or we could be traumatized. Each of us will receive this differently depending on primarily the nature of Venus in your chart, because Venus is a ruler of the Taurus sky and her disposition in your natal chart can tell you if it's going to be a positive or negative archetype. I'm born with Venus in Taurus. And so technically, I tend to like whatever happens in the Taurus sky. And I didn't even mind having to move. I'd rather pay less taxes and have a better life. Now, it's important to note that Venus is witnessing this transaction, reinitiating the hot spot of 7 degrees of Taurus. She's on it and she's witnessing it from your 12th house. And in a way, this may mean financial surprises from foreign people, places, and distant shores. It's a kind of thing where somebody may want to support you financially from another country, offer you a financial bonus package of some sort. Or if you're like me and you do digital income, borderless revenue, PayPal, Stripe, if you have a kind of commercial enterprise that's involving foreign markets or foreign people, then this could also show you this incredible uptick of surprise around money and connections to success. Are you trying to quit an addiction? I joined the Sober Sisters program with Jen Couch. I really like her in 2021 because I thought I was drinking too much in the pandemic. I was stressed as all hell in Montreal. And you know what? That's another example that you might find a radical desire to eliminate addictive substances all of a sudden out of your life because you might have done the same thing back then. Mars is also cut, end, and sever. And he was in the food house area of the sky, what goes in your nose and your mouth. Did you make any radical dietary changes back then? Some of you probably did, especially if they were addictive. And again, we're always comparing notes to the vibration of our life. January of 21, add roughly 6 months to see the lay of the land, sometimes longer. Now, one of the things I want to say finally about this story is that Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces. So we have a moon in the sign of her exaltation. We have Venus in the sign of her exaltation. You literally can't go wrong with this energy. And Venus will help guide that moon. That's a new beginning that will unfold over 2 to 3 weeks after and up to 6 months later with a luscious up level in financial matters in your life that bring also unexpected surprises. Of course, we've got the nodes of fate involved. So these are destined changes at that. And for anyone who has to eliminate a debt, pay down a mortgage, knock off a credit card debt or something like that, this South Node in the 6th house supports that process as well. So there you go. The moon rules your 4th house, always of home, property, land, and real estate. And also possibly, therefore, there may be a change in where you live because the South Node is in the house of rental property opportunities. Now, if you don't know that you're going to move your home, then you might find out, but you also see that financial increase. It's not either or. It's both, Aries. So let me know what happens. I'd love to hear back in the long game. To know how this gnarly opposition impacts this moon in your life, please go listen to my first video. I'll pin it in the comments and put it in the description box as well. Hey, Taurus. You've had Uranus moving through your sign. How's it been going since 2018? Done in 2027. How you been jittery? Have you had some big life shocks? I know one person, a friend of mine, is a Taurus sun, and he lost his wife, who was my best friend, to a sudden heart attack. So for Tauruses, unfortunately, life has delivered some hard blows since 2018 in terms of unexpected and shocking developments that you probably felt blindsided by. On the other hand, Uranus could have made you inventive, original, willing to take risks, be daring outside your box, color outside your lines. And you might have had as well a lot of energy about your life going on to do with Uranus themes and awakening of your third eye, your pineal gland, more divine downloads, etc. But willing to break rules and be iconoclastic. These are things that some fixed Tauruses have been experimenting with in all areas of their life since 2018. Hopefully you weren't blindsided too badly by some of the challenging parts of what Uranus and Taurus has been up to since 2018, but it's over in 27, so take a deep breath. I kind of want to say that if you take yourself back in time to, January 20th, 2021, and the 6 or so months it unfolded, what kind of ending did you give yourself? Because Mars is the scissors with Uranus that surprised you and the world as you snipped, cut, or ended something significant in your life. Now, you may not have been in charge of it. The sky was in charge of it. You didn't choose it necessarily. It chose you. When I talk about my, Taurus sun guy I know, who's now a widower, it was because of that conjunction, or in time of that conjunction, in the months that followed, that he lost his wife. In fact, the conjunction happened, in tandem with that energy. I wonder too, if some of you here who experienced that energy in January of 21 and the months that followed made radical decisions that shocked people around you. Mars is deciding something because every decision decides, it dissects something, it dissects and it cuts into the path to the left or the right. I have to choose which way to go. And did you ever find that if in hindsight people said, oh my God, I can't believe that you did that? my daughter is a Taurus sun, and it propelled my daughter to shock the world by leaving Montreal and her university, McGill, to move back to British Columbia and go to another university. That was not something a fixed sign Taurus would normally do, but she made the decision that was what she wanted, and it has worked out for her. So where were you making decisions that people thought your actions and decisions were over the top, outside the box, uncharacteristic of you? Probably you can think of a few, right? If you go back to January 21 and even add a year, okay, even add a year, something around that is importantly back again. Bold, declarative new beginnings with a Taurus new moon that will give you a lay of a radically new land in your actions and decisions that follow over the next 6 months. The moon is the ruler always of your third house, and it might invite you to change your location to a new locale, a new neighborhood where you live. You might travel. You might make major changes regarding your relationships to a sibling or neighbors or aunts and uncles and cousins as a result of this story. Now, this actual new moon on this hot spot on the seat where someone left the ketchup in 2021 is connected to an exalted Venus at the end of the sign of Pisces, loving up this moon. Yes, not in a direct aspect, but it's called a whole sign connection. And so she's kind of saying, I'm exalted. I'm free of any malefic enclosures, and I'm loving up this lunation in my kingdom. Maybe I'd like to bring you some shocking, surprising, and exhilarating new groups of friends, new social circles and networks, or radically and new and prosperous financial gain in your career. Perhaps, by the way, through a new job. She is sitting with Saturn, ruler of your 10th house of career, and she does own your 6th house of work. So there's another code here for an unexpected change of job, but also change of home. Both of those are likely to be true. This would be more a change of neighborhood, city, or maybe within your country. This would not likely look like a foreign land change, just so you know. Now, Gemini, this is a repeating sky. As I said in the intro, I hope you listen. This takes you back to January 20th of 2021. This is when we had Mars and Uranus co-joining at basically 7 degrees of Taurus, where the moon is going to occur on April 27th, 28th. This is indicating a kind of reverb from the past where you could have a very dramatic and exciting or shocking or unusual change in your 12th house storylines. 12th house, addictions, self-undoing, bad habits. I joined the Sober Sisters crew and was going sober back then. What else could it be? It could be things to do with your long distance revenue from foreign shores and marketplaces and a new beginning. Well, if I go back to 2021, guess what I did? I launched my first ever Sky Reader course and I made money. Yes, I did. And it was very big for me. It was the first time I'd launched a majorly successful course. I also had 2 courses do really well in the wake of that conjunction. So it was definitely prosperous. If you make money internationally or without revenue, this is like borderless income and revenue, it could do very, very well, actually. Now, spiritual awakening belongs to the 12th house, and some of you may have had some episodes of spiritual enlightenment and dawn upon you as a result of this back in January of 21. Add at least 6 months to a year afterwards to see the entire lay of the land. And the lay of the land, usually I find that these energies of the conjunctions with Mars usually show you what they're about, usually within 6 months. Now, I think that with Venus in the top of the sky, she's loving you in an exaltation, and she's connected to long game strategies and destiny. And she's looking over at this new moon fondly and saying, it's career, it's reputation. It has to do with your visible social standing. We want to up-level you in the eyes of the world and the public in a long game lasting way that endures. It has long, long tail aspects to it. And if you're anybody who wants to get a career glow up, then it's also possible that things you do behind the scenes in your downtime are like literally going to fuel that success. The 12th house is your solitude, your alone time, things you do when no one is looking. The moon is the ruler of your second house of earnings, and that matters. Therefore, collateral benefits are increase of savings, possessions, and wealth, but from the career axis, not because someone gave you a bunch of money. You're lucky through to June the 9th with Jupiter in your first house, but don't forget he exalts your financial gain starting June the 9th through for a year. So we know that this moon is participating in it. If you're somebody who only makes money like in your downtown core working for a job and you don't make international revenue, because I know not a lot of you don't do that, I understand that, then there's still a financial glow up. Okay. I just don't know. I know it comes through work and career is the best I can offer you. And go back again. Addiction, self undoing, distant foreign shore revenue, spiritual awakening, things you do in your downtime being profitable. Those are themes that may have emerged for you in sort of decisive action and sudden ways back in the day, back in 2020, January, add 6 months to get the lay of that land. Now, one more thing to say about it is this is not going to be the video where I talk about the Mars-Pluto opposition. I did that in my longer video for your sign. I even talked about the Sabian. I talked about many details, Asteroid Requiem. If you want to get that content, please watch it on my description box below, or I'll pin it to the comments. You got a lot more content I can't cover here, but I want you to go back in time to get that one little detail. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Wowzer, wowzer, wowzer. What can I tell you here? I don't even know what I can tell you. It's like, okay, it's very important. Let's get a handle on this. First of all, January 21st, 20th, 2021, Mars and Uranus cojoined at basically 7 degrees of Taurus, where this new moon is happening. This is a hot spot in the sky, and it's going to be reawakened or reactivated not only on the 27th moon or 28th, time zone dependent, but in the 6 months that follows. This is a hot spot that gets reanimated by the sky by this new moon. What major changes did you make in your life back then that you made decisions and took actions to change the way you earn money in your career? It may involve friends, allies, benefactors, or an elder sibling. You may have also reoriented your long-range dreams and goals. My Cancer rising sister, this is back in 21, started doing side hustle work for me back then in the wake of this conjunction that she didn't expect she would do. She became one of my assistants, well, my only one really. So that's an example. What else could it be? Well, a massive, surprising, shocking, sudden change of friendship groups and circles could have occurred for sure back in the day, back in January of 21, add 6 or 7 months or 8 months out to see what it was about. And you might be reheating that sky for a similar kind of ejection of friends, or bringing erratic and really cool and unusual new friends, outside the box friends, into your social life. But it also means you radically change the way you earn money, because the gains of the 10th house of career is the earnings that are acquired in the second house away, the 11th house. One thing you should know, of course, is that the moon is new, but it rules you, your body, your mind. This is not all of them do, but there's a thing about that is literally about how the changes in your long range plans, goals, and dreams, for example, or career gains mechanisms unfold in a change in who you are, right? How you present yourself to the world, or how you feel about who you are. This is a Venus love up, Venus exalted, 28 degrees of Pisces, looking over fondly and gently at this moon and says, how can I help you in my kingdom blossom? Let me get you a higher education. Now, some of you might go back to school in the 6 months that follows this, or go to school for the first time and study or learn something that you wish to know or understand to create greater career gains. Some of you may see a beautiful glow in the months that follow this moon for a travel opportunity to a far off distant shore, potentially with a sibling one older than you, but also with a friend or a benefactor or a group of friends. Some of you may even be looking at the possibility of legal wins in court matters, book publishing deals, and even a new spiritual alignment with a deeper faith in some kind of spiritual or religious path. These are ways this moon could open up new doors from the 9th house to the 11th house. Now, yes, it is a chocolate break. I think I'm going to start a merch line, like something to do with chunky money, but something good to do with chocolate. I'll be right back. I need a bit of a dark chocolate hit. Okay, I got my great chocolate fix, my favorite brand, one of my favorite brands. Not that I don't get any, I'm not a affiliate. Anyway, it's hazelnut butter dark chocolate by Who, and like organic, 70% cacao, no refined sugar, no cane sugar, no lecithin, no soy. All I can say is OMG. Now that I've refreshed myself with half a chocolate bar, let's continue. All right, I think I'm on Aries. No, I'm on Leo next. Okay, Leo. This is an update for the moon video that I put out, I don't know, a couple weeks back. Please go check that out. That new moon and Taurus video will dive into the intense tension between Mars and Pluto, as well as the Sabian symbol, and that will be pinned to the comments, and I will put it in the description box. But this is another angle. We're talking about 2021, January 20th, when there was a conjunction of Mars and Uranus. Please watch the intro to understand this principle. This is a hot seat in the sky. This part of the sky is being reinvigorated, like nothing has really hit it the same way ever since then. And so there's basically a animation of your 10th house of career. Something may have occurred, Leos, if you go back to January of 2021 and maybe look at the year that unfolded. What kind of surprise and sudden change and decisions and actions happen in your career and reputation sky? Now, it is reputation. Like, I'm married, I'm widowed, I'm divorced, I'm separated. I have to give you that. But it's also, and social standing, but it's also like, this is my career, guys. This is like, this is what I do. I'm retired. My career is I play golf, I guess. Whatever you do in the visible sky, and the radical change of direction or sudden unexpected shifts that probably occurred in January of 21, in the middle of that damn pandemic, at about a year. And so if you want to go back to that, you might have a way to feel into a similar thing that may unfold in the next 6 months, as every new moon plants a seed that falls into a 6-month window of time. With this idea of this repeating story, this time around, you'll notice a few things are quite different, of course, but I want you to pay attention. And some of you could have gotten fired from a job, quit a job back then, dramatically changed your orientation towards your work. But anyway, this time around, of course, Venus is loving you up from the 8th house. And we also have to remember every new moon is about the Cancer sky. That's your 12th house. And so some of you also may have made some major changes regarding your own sabotaging, self-undoing, and addictions, or had major changes in your career happen in 2020. January at a year, maybe connected to backroom deals, negotiations, secret plans and plots that were favoring changes in your career in some fundamental manner. Or you may have even had career changes connected to far shores and distant people or distant lands. Now, having this Venus on this new moon, forget about everything else, exalted, owning the moon sky, from your 8th house of chunky money, this is a good story for your finances. You may have some major impact. Oh my God. Sorry. My audio was cut off. My recording just stopped because the internet suddenly was gone, or Zoom thought it was gone. So I'm going to continue by restarting up on your Leo story. All right, Leo. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Go back to 2021. What was happening back then? You might notice that you're back in the seat again of a hot spot. It would be January of 21, add maybe 6 months to a year. Did you make a major career change? Did you get fired? Did you change your job? Dramatic upsets in your public reputation. Oh my God, I'm getting divorced. Oh my God, I'm getting married. Oh my God, I'm a widower. Big, social standing, reputation, shocking changes back in 2020. Now, this hot spot that hit the mark back then at 7 degrees of Taurus, more or less, is back again. The new moon is here. There's no Mars and Uranus, but the new moon is here. Uranus is still up there, of course, giving surprises and unexpected developments to your career. But I would say that I like to remind you that the moon is the ruler of your 12th house. This is always going to add a little flavor from this new moon every year that says, hey, and what about backroom deals and negotiations? And what about money from foreign lands and distant shores and people? What about factors to do with your own self-undoing and sabotaging of your own life? Are any of those validly, accurately in play at any given time? Just reminding you that the moon will always rule 12th house matters, no matter where she falls in the sky. Venus is in your eighth house, and your eighth house is that chunky money. This is extremely positive. Saturn would like to have long game results in your chunky money with destined worldly increase. It could be because it's a moon, an exalted moon in the 10th house, an inheritance from an exalted female in your family, great Aunt Susie, great grandma Joan or something, or, hopefully, or an elder exalted mother if she's elderly. Saturn makes it elderly, Venus makes it female, money coming from an elderly female in your system, inheritances, early trust monies, I don't know. If it's not any of that kind of stuff, then you may get some money through new tax structures, tax rebates, spousal separation agreements, and support money coming from unexpectedly surprising career developments like a sign-on bonus, a severance package, commission checks, up-leveling your finances. Any of that's possible in the 6 months that follows the new moon. But often a new moon shows you a bit about what it's really for in up to the 2 to 3 weeks after. So keep your eye on the ball on that one. And I'm somehow not in big mode, so let's fix that. And I'm sorry that you were interrupted by the internet coming out of commission. Hopefully I didn't give you too little or too much. I did my very best, Leo. Given the circumstances, I probably repeated myself. Just know that you want to get the Mars-Pluto story. You need to go check out my earlier video, because you can't ignore this T-square to the moon, but I've already covered it in great depth in my prior video. This one is really about going back to 2021. Check the description box or the pinned comments to receive more information on the very critical Mars-Pluto part of your story. Oh, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This little hot spot where someone dropped the ketchup and now the moon is sitting in here is in your 9th house. Yes, back in January 20th of 21, you had a Mars-Uranus conjunction here. Nothing's happened of any major point on that hot spot until now. At 7 degrees, there's a new moon. So what kind of radical, exciting, sudden, shocking changes did you make to education, higher education? I already told the story. My daughter at McGill, Taurus moon, Upton decided she was going to finish her education in another city, in another school in Canada, and took all the bold, daring, totally unlike a Taurus, fixed Taurus initiative to make the change happen. So you might go back to 2020 and say, what changes you make with book publishing, higher education, foreign lands, visas, passports, legal and court matters. 9th house is third marriages. First house is seventh house is first marriages. Second house is second marriages. Third house is 9th house is third marriages and shocks and changes in your third marriage in 2021. What do you mean by a third marriage? I mean, a third long-term committed love partner with whom you cohabitate. So with this energy here of this new beginning, new moon, some of you may start a new spiritual path, and you may have already tried to do that or have already begun that at any point in the last few years, but certainly with that Mars-Uranus conjunction in 2021 here, this is going to be most like that. So maybe you joined a church, joined a spiritual community, joined a new synagogue, found a new religion, found a new path. It's a new moon. It's exalted. It's a new beginning. It's powerful. It's alignment with Dharma. What is the purpose of your life? What is the unique purpose of your life? How are you here to utilize your gifts and talents in a way that's harmonious and in alignment with your soul? Well, maybe that was a jolt for you back in 2021, and you were thinking about it and having some surprising insights about it. Now it's here for real. Now it's really happening. And so let's see, where does this sort of shock and awe change factor play this time? I like the new moon. It's a new beginning. It's fresh. It's exalted. And Venus is witnessing it from your 7th house, because it's the churches and synagogues in the 9th house. There's wedding bells and proposals in this kind of sky, indicating a possible up level into a more solid, lasting, and traditional form for any existing long-term love relationship. That's very possible. This is also beautiful developments connected to foreign places and foreign lands and travel, even including the word visas. And so in some ways, some of you might be thinking about a relationship change connected to foreign lands. And if you're single, maybe new love can form from distant shore travel and far off foreign land journeys. Now, I'm not going to promise you a bed of roses because Saturn is the taskmaster in your seventh house, and Uranus is often about the unexpected. So, some of you in longer term marriages that have been flagging, Saturn's been testing the love, and Venus just wants higher love. If you can't get that higher love, the deeper, truer, sacred love out of that marriage, if it's not showing up in the way you want, there may be surprising or shocking endings in those relationships. For every new moon is both a portal to the new and a completion of the old. It's both a beginning and an ending. The moon is dying. It's dark. It's hidden from view. So look for the next 6 months to maybe be emblematic of a completion, but there are bits of surprise there. I would say that with the moon ruling your 11th house of career gains, some of you may be looking at new jobs, new career paths, especially with Jupiter entering your 11th house in June. So you could be finding some exciting new directions professionally off of this and new ways to earn or increase your financial resources. Or potentially your significant other is going to have some kind of new career trajectory, increase of their resources as well. But either way, this is a beautiful moon because it flows to your Virgo sky in a Earth trine, and it isn't a necessarily challenging one, for it does have backup from an exalted Venus. I think you could definitely look at this as a possible kind of sky that could open up a doorway for a very strong and deeper level of commitment in some existing relationship, but it's not in between. If that doesn't happen, that exalted Venus and that Saturn will close that relationship down so that something more true and spiritually aligned for you can show up. Now, that's what I've got for you. Let me know what happens. I do love that the moon is flowing to the north node and that and also the south node in a general principle way in your sky. And, Uranus, the wedge, is activated. So again, destined, fated, exciting changes in relationship status. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising. I got tech issues. Let's see what happens. Well, go back to 2021. What was occurring in your life? January. That's when you saw Mars and Uranus co-joining at 7 Taurus, exactly where this new moon is sitting as we approach April 27th. This is going to be a kind of a replay, perhaps, of things you saw happening back in the day, where you had some chunky money surprises. That could have been an inheritance. It could have been money from the sale of a property. It could have been money from a tax rebate, insurance payout, spousal support. But there was surprise. There was unexpected developments. There might have been some battles for money that required you to go to task to fight for. Mars, Uranus, the money that's due you or owe you. Now, the esteem of others belongs to the 8th house. Other people's how you are esteemed or how other people think about you. And you may have had a fall in your esteem. Other people may have not seen you in the light that you were normally used to. I know one Libra who got slandered by a relationship ex, and it was a difficult story in 21 to go through that lack of esteem from being slandered by a partner. Now, ex-partner. Now, one of the other stories about the 8th house is it can involve occult mysteries and magic and the paranormal. Some of you may have dove even more deeply and in radically surprising ways, surprised even you, into the occult arts and mysteries as a result of that conjunction in January rising sign. I told you a bunch of stuff that may or may not have fully recorded. The gist was this: you're going to have the energy here of chunky money. Something wants to happen. Did you get some chunky money back in 2021, January? Yes, you might have. And you want to add about 6 to 7 months after. Shocking, surprising alimony, spousal support, money from the sale of a property, money coming from an inheritance, money coming from anything to do with unexpected unearned income or the esteem of others, where you may have found your reputation being less than it usually is, and you've been felt like you were less esteemed in the eyes of the world. Certainly having Venus love you up from the 6th house during this moon in the 6 months that follows indicates more money through work and livelihood matters. For some of you in the next 6 months, a brand new pet. I'm not going to cover and work house is where the moon is the lord of your work house. Exalted Venus is loving up the moon, the inner kingdom. Some of you are going to get exalted work increase opportunities for success financially through your work house. And that will be true in the 6 months that follows. Let's keep going while I'm hijacking my data on this story, which I'll probably talk quicker because data is expensive in Canada, guys. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Sorry for the last 3 signs. What the hell? Internet, not even, or Zoom. First of all, it's important to understand that back in 2020, there was a hot spot in the sky. There's definitely that Mars-Uranus conjunction at 7 degrees of Taurus in your 7th house. If you're a Scorpio, did you have a breakup? Did you have an end of a relationship? Did you start dating someone radical, crazy, weird, way outside the normative for you? Anything like that could have happened in 2021, January, at a year. I remember my son, Scorpio rising, didn't have a breakup with this woman, but they went through a difficult period of time. You may have just found there was erratic and unpredictable energies going on in a long-term relationship, if you're a Scorpio rising especially, or if you're a Scorpio sun, maybe to do with your audience and marketplace and clients, and you weren't quite jiving there. Scorpio moon, changes of home connected to your relationship. Now, this energy is back again, but it's not entirely the same. Nothing ever is entirely the same. What the difference is this time is that this change factor in your 7th house, while reminiscent of the hot sky spot of January 2021, add 6 or 7 months, is also got love from Venus, exalted as she gazes upon an exalted moon in her kingdom. These 2 powerful energies are working together. This could be pregnancy, fertility, making a baby, or having a grandchild. Announcement in the next 6 months after this. This is also good for artistic creative endeavors and reaching out to the marketplace and public with a hit, a viral hit, a positive response from the audience or marketplace in the 6 months that follows this video. I do not mind this if you are at all looking for romantic love. I'd say if you're a single Scorpio looking for love, then the next 6 months looks lovely. This looks like you could meet somebody, be falling madly in love with a soulmate, destined karmic partner, on a relationship that exalts the house of committed love and union. And a new beginning is coming, but with Uranus, it's a surprise. You didn't expect it. You weren't even looking, or you were looking in the wrong direction, but it showed up in your life. And aren't you surprised? You probably will be. Now, with the Mars opposition to Pluto, which is so important to notice, I cannot delineate that here in any depth. If you go back to my earlier video that I already put out, and I'll put it to the comments and I'll add it to the description box, that video really plows through what to do with this sky tension in terms of the moon forming a T-square to your 10th house, 4th house, Mars and Pluto. But all said and done, this looks lovely for existing relationships to get a glow up, more romance, or hey, even leisure travel or pleasure travel or foreign travel with an existing love partner. But boy, pregnancy, procreativity, children and grandchildren, and major entrepreneurial and creative success in the 6 months that follows this lunation. If I'm talking quickly, please slow me down. I'm having internet issues and I want to get this video done before the next century. You have a playback speed. If I talk too fast for you, that's okay. You don't have to have me talk slower. You can change the speed. Let's go with Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Look at new moon, new beginnings, and fresh starts, but not any old new moon. It's in your 6th house, like it was when Mars and Uranus cojoined at 7 degrees of your 6th house of Taurus back in January of 2021 at 6-7 months. Change of job, change of career, loss of a pet, shift of rental property agreements, unexpected debt accumulation or removal. This was disputes and legal issues that kind of came out sideways. You didn't see them coming. Those are things that may have emerged back in the day, January 21, add 6-7 months. Now, this hot spot is being reinitiated, and so I can't say that you won't experience some similar stories. But you also have Venus protectively loving you from the 4th house. If there's a rental opportunity, change of agreement, or new agreement, this will serve you. This will look good on you. You'll have a beautiful home in a safe street with a proud flag. That's a Canadian joke. But you'll have a kind of like, wow, my long game home. I'm less lonely at home. I feel less less melancholic in my home. I can build a beautiful home. These are things you might be thinking of. Design a beautiful home, decorate a beautiful home in the 6 months that follows this particular lunation. But Venus would also say, get a job from home, work close to home. And that's an option if you're looking for new employment. Now, love close to home. Dating close to home brings beautiful results for single Sagittarius. What does close to home mean? Well, close to home and homeland, particularly the place closest to where you were born, where Venus is exalted in that 4th house. If you've migrated far away from where you were born, you might want to migrate back closer to where you were born. The only other caveat is North Node is with Venus, and that can represent the foreigner, but it is in the home and homeland. So therefore, still you'd meet someone close to home, even if they are indeed a foreigner, which is possible in this kind of sky. I want to tell you that, with the moon ruling your chunky money house and also things to do with occult mysteries and arts, and a passive income, some of you may be increasing money that comes from that kind of thing. This could look like money from a sale of a property or from a parent in your life or family money coming towards you. That also helps you eliminate debt and suddenly in shocking and exciting ways. Now, unfortunately, do you have an elder female who may pass away? This kind of energy could suddenly shock you. Sadly speaking, with an elder female passing, they could then sort of downline into you receiving some money from that elder female in your family system. That's the downside of this energy, right? That's the best I can tell you, but it's what we got. We're going to go with what we got. And here, and if we go back to the females in your family system, you might want to go back and maybe there's a connection to events in January of 2021, add 6 or 7 months regarding the health or challenges with the well-being of an elder family member, female, most likely female. And you can get a new pet. You want a pet? You can get a pet off of this sky, and a beautiful pet, and a soulmate pet, and a lovely pet, in a beautiful street on a safe home with a proud flag. I'll never recover from the slogans of that campaign. Okay, so in Canada, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. It looks to me like if you go back to January of 2021, it was January 20th, and you add about 6 months, you had some disturbances in the ether, unexpected and shocking change of direction that required decisions and actions regarding the following themes: pregnancy, fertility, grandchildren, children you already have, romantic and sexual love, matters to do with your creative and entrepreneurial projects. Did you have a disruption in a romantic love relationship? Because this also is the exalted moon, this time that rules the 7th house, and this Mars-Uranus conjunction is back there. If you want to compare in any way to your life back in January 21, add about a year, was there a shocking and surprising change in your romantic status? Did you start dating someone new? Did you end a relationship with someone already? What was going on then? Because it's back again. The 5 is back again. The hot spot of 7 degrees of Taurus has been reinitiated by this Taurus new moon, 27th and 28th of April. Was there upsets with your children? Was there unexpected pregnancies? Was surprising grandchildren narratives coming through the sky? If you're creative or entrepreneurial or artistic, what changes happened in those 5th house endeavors for you? Back in 21, back again in some way to unfold over the next 6 months from this lunation. This lunation rules your exalted moon. Lunation rules your long-term commitment house, where Jupiter will enter Capricorn on June the 9th and could up-level you to legal marriage, moving in together, larger levels of commitment. But Jupiter always tests every relationship when he goes through your 7th house and says, should it last or shouldn't it? I'm wise and all-knowing. I give you what you need, not what you want. And therefore, it can go either way. But when Jupiter comes there for a single Capricorn, you might meet your person. You might meet a destined partner of love. When this moon is happening, it does flow to the North Node and South Node. The South Node is letting go and releasing in the house of foreign lands, foreign shores, distant lands, things to do with third marriages. North Node is amplifying love closer to your neighborhood, love closer to your local environs, love and love affairs connected to short distance travel. And if you're single looking for a new love story, it might be involving somebody you meet in a learning setting, a traveling setting, a dating app, or just going to the pub and the restaurants in the local everyday community in which you swim. That's what the sky is offering for those of you looking for a new relationship. That is indicating a possibility of that showing up, an exalted love relationship with an exalted moon for romantic new beginnings. And with Uranus there, you might go outside the box. Let's face it, a lot of Capricorn since 2018 got into kink, got into what do you call it, polyamory, started to explore the fringes and the erratic and radically different ways of being in sexual romantic love. And that is a Capricorn story. I have a lot of Cappy clients who did that. Not every one of you did. Some of you got entrepreneurial. Some of you put your creative arts and stuff into the internet zone. All right. Some of you had radical changes though in your sex and romantic life since 2018, right? I know one guy who went to a doctor who looked at his, down there below his belt, and then decided she wanted to date him, a certain type of medical practitioner, quite a doctor. I won't get into it. And that's totally outside the bounds of normalcy, right? So you'll see what I mean there by that kind of, oh, wow, this is so different. I didn't expect this. But you might have had some radical shocks as well with Uranus here, like unexpected and disturbing shocks as well. But all I can say is it's back as a moon that's exalted, and Venus wants to bring beauty and love. If you are on the online world and you're a creative, artistic, or entrepreneurial person, if you're a writer especially, you could have some major jolts of success in that regard that kind of blow you out of the water as you hit new levels of celebrity, public or popular appeal, and success in the next 6 months. You want to know more about that gnarly opposition of Mars and Pluto? I bet you do, because it's right attacking that moon in a T-square. Then go to my prior video. It's pinned to the comments and it's in the description box, where for about another 5 minutes you can learn how to handle that combustive force of Mars Pluto opposition in a T-square to the moon. Aquarius, I'm going rather quickly on a data load here. My internet's not working properly or something. So please, please, please don't forget to just slow back my speed if I'm talking too quickly for you, rather than tell me to talk slower. And Aquarius, I'm one of you. So Sun, Moon, and Rising Aquarians, we have a new beginning in the house of homeland and property. And most of you know my landlord from Switzerland is going to be selling the property, and I will have to be moving. Now, that energy of a new beginning and a fresh start with Uranus indicates something very familiar. It's like, oh, Mars-Uranus conjunction, 7 Taurus back in January of 21. In the intro, I explained that was when I had to suddenly shockingly move because taxes were crazy in the province I'd accidentally moved to before I realized what I'd done. And so I had to move, or I chose to move. Well, similarly, there was a lot of vibe back then of choosing to move, right? Because I could not or did not want to pay that kind of a tax rate for a province. So where will this feel familiar to us, that we're going to be changing our home? Some of us already know that we will, like I do, but that was the eclipse to my moon. And we can do this with Venus's love. And Venus is saying, unlike in 2021, add 6 months to a year when changes of home happened, or knowledge of changes of home unfolded, we didn't have this kind of beautiful love to the Mars conjunction to Uranus from Venus in the second house. Venus here is a part of the expanding of your worldly success North Node, Saturn, long game, longevity, endurance, and stability, and Venus, exalted financial wellness. I don't know. Jupiter in the 5th, some of us could be winning money in the next 6 months. I bought 2 lottery tickets today. Some of us could also, though, simply be having some kind of prosperity increase that allows for a new beginning, new home, new moon, new home, exalted home, Uranus, surprising, exhilarating, or unexpected. Is the home unexpected? No, maybe the quality of the home is unexpected, the kind of home or where the home might be. I was talking with one of my students, and she's out in Prince Edward Island, and she mentioned maybe I should move there. And I pulled my astrocartography up. Yes, Fran, it was your suggestion. And I'm like, wow, it's even better than Halifax. So maybe I will move to Prince Edward Island. I was there a few times in my life, and I think it's a beautiful province. Now, and the other thing about, and it happened, she commented in the wake, like in the 2 days before this new moon, 3 days. So it's in that orb of the moon that, oh, information, excitement, news, beginning somewhere else. Maybe I could go to the eastern seaboard of my country. Now, one thing you could think about with this Venus loving everything up from the second house, it's a house of speech. And so there may be something to do with you speaking or talking that's going to radically up level increase of income and connections to prosperity or success in and from the home. I do online work. I speak all the time. That would make sense for someone like me. If you are looking to buy a new home or sell a home or change your home or whatever, you also have to remember the moon owns the sixth house of landlords and leases and rentals. So I got a few options: an unexpected, beautiful opportunity for a new rental property, for a landlord to rent your place out, or for a new pet, or the elimination of debt connected to mom, dad, family of origin. South Node in the eighth house for anyone with parents that are elder, it could lead to an inheritance in the next 6 months. Finally, if you're somebody here who wants to be closer to their family, like your sisters, or just family in general, this could be a change in your home environment that puts you in greater proximity to some family members that you actually enjoy, those family members you wish to spend time with. And again, we still keep seeing the idea of pets here, which is great. I so want a pet. I've just been waiting for the right time. Next and last, Pisces, I'm running on data. Slow my speech down. If you don't like how I'm talking. So Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. It happens to look like we have a beginning of a beginning, a new moon exalted in your third house with shocking and surprising energies of Uranus. That could indicate some changes in your life to do with your neighbors, your neighborhood, your local community, things to do with your online world, your writing projects, things to do with media in general, things to do with skills-based learning or teaching. And this third house juncture of a place, the cadent third house, was similarly activated back in January of 2021. And in the year that followed, did you have radical, shocking, surprising changes with the third house matters, and you had to make radical decisions. It could have been changes of neighborhood, changes of social standing with a sibling, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a niece. It could have been a radical and maybe unexpected change with marketing and selling of anything. I have a Pisces rising sister, and that was when YouTube shut her account down, held her money for a year and wouldn't give it back to her for doing nothing illegal. And there was no recourse for her to reset her account. She can never use it ever again, PayPal. She did nothing wrong. She was doing online readings, and she'd been doing them for a couple of years, and she did not break any rules. That shocking surprise, I believe, was in 2021. So yes, sometimes it's not always good when Mars, Uranus collide together in a house of marketing and selling and commerce, especially online. Now, this is a reboot, a redo, a reinvestigation of this. Don't forget, it's a house of communicating, marketing, selling, and writing ideas, new beginnings. What I love about the new moon is it really loves up Venus. Venus loves the moon up. It's coming into a whole sign sextile from exalted Venus in the first house. Venus is like, I'm super powered. I'm unafflicted. I'm in good stead. And you're in my house, new moon. I want you to plant a new seed that I approve of. It's going to help the health of the Pisces native. I'm going to make sure they're more healthy. If it's your Pisces sun, it's your career that you're going to get a glow up for the next 6 months to a year, 6 months. If it's your Pisces moon, your home and domestic life and where you live gets a glow up. And if it's your Pisces rising, any area of your life, but your body and your health most particularly will be coming into a 6-month increase of success. Some of that may be because, hey, you joined the local gym or the local yoga studio. Local businesses belong to the third house. Or you may take a course that helps you improve your health because you have shocking new understandings of what you should and shouldn't eat. And Mars is trying to improve your health by cutting away and eliminating those foods right now that aren't good for you. And that's a true story till mid-June. If you're also looking in any direction for the possibility of romantic love, this moon can bring it. Now, this moon says, I love myself so deeply that I'm ready to love another in a profound and beautiful way. And romantic love may emerge because you're traveling, because you bump into someone in the supermarket, because you're taking a course, even online. So single Pisces, And looks like new love may come into the narrative. And certainly when Jupiter, June 9th, enters your 5th house and this new moon sees new love for 6 months, it will be a love of a lifetime as Jupiter trines the North Node and you have your soulmate, your true love, your twin flame, or something like it. I cannot wait to do the video on that. All right. I cannot wait. If you're looking to procure a child, make a baby, then you may actually get pregnant on a trip or your partner coming off this new moon. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I apologize for all of my internet problems. There's nothing I can do. Whatever that was, it was completely outside of my control. These beautiful earrings are from Prescott, Arizona, and it is a kind of a heritage, indigenous people's museum of some sort. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember what it's called. But if you're in Prescott, Arizona, you know what I'm talking about. And someone stopped me in the street today and said, isn't that, I love your earrings. This is from my partner, James, who I was spending time with there. Yeah. Isn't that gorgeous? So I love art. I love jewelry. And I'm often a brand sponsor for that. And in this place called Atticus, I think it was, no, is it Atticus? I think it's called, yes, Atticus, this beautiful crescent moon necklace. Rose is a curator. I can't remember the guy's name. He's the owner of the place. He does beautiful bronze sculpture. If you're ever in Atticus, Scottsdale, go in and say hi. It's a beautiful place. It has books, it has jewelry, it has gorgeous art selections and collections. And the owner is a lovely young guy, took over from his dad, who was also what do you call it? Like a worked in bronze statue. And he started that when he was in his 20s. I can't remember how old he is now. He told me probably in his 40s, maybe late 30s. But anyway, and so just love to share things I find around the world or when my travels, and no gain for this, just to share things I love and enjoy. All right, Scottsdale is a beautiful and I know expensive city, but I loved a lot of the food I had there. A lot of the restaurants were delicious, and I will definitely go back. It's a 3-hour drive, flight to Phoenix, Arizona from Vancouver, but I may not be living here. I may be living in Prince Edward Island, Fran. All right, ciao, guys. Have a wonderful day.